what docs need is two things. They need just really prolific decision support systems that are really easy to use with a high level of specificity of the match between the advice being given and the clinical context of the patient in front of them and their workflow. So they need one click to action. So when you want to tell them, hey, here's the latest information, given what you've told me, ask these 3 other questions of the patient, then I will advise you. And when I advise you, I will rank order your options. So it's really simple, one click to action and you're done. Docs are incredibly time pressured, so they want fast, simple, actionable advice. And so we need big data analytics and interoperability to develop the knowledge base to apply that level of decision support. They also need a human readable chart so that they can quickly construct a story. The narrative of a clinical chart and the story and the time sequence is critical. And so as we look at semantic representations and interoperability, we need to understand that there's 2 really different target audiences. One is the human and the other is the machine. And they're very different audiences and they need to have different constructs to support both. It's not just a presentation layer of the same semantic representations. There are different semantics. There's far more contextuality in what a clinician needs to know about what was done, when and why and by whom, and was this data point available to that individual at that point in time, and did they look at it and did they incorporate it in their diagnosis or not? Because if they didn't, now I understand why they made the wrong choice. If they did, there's something I'm missing about what they did, or there's something they're missing about what they did. So the difference between the human and the machine audience is vast and cannot be, in my humble opinion, converged into a single formulation of how to do this. So I think, as I highlighted last night in our discussion, that if we lose those 2 different audiences, we have a serious problem. The last thing that I'll say in 5 minutes is that with respect to privacy and identity management, the biggest problem around health information exchange today is identity management. There are very accessible solutions that have been obstructed by the Beltway and need to be advanced, and I'll be speaking to that with adjacents this afternoon and advocating for a more systematic approach to that, at least less resistance to those efforts. And there's a couple of reasons for identity management. One is accurately aggregating the data, and by the way, it can be the level of certainty required for disambiguation of an identity is task specific. To some tasks, it's okay if you screw up an identity 1% of the time. For other tasks, it's never okay. And the last thing is that there are tons of data points in individuals' records today that belong to somebody else. So we're starting off with incredibly dirty data that we're sharing. Once we merge data from one person A to person B's chart because of inaccurate identity management, we compound the problem because those data are unpacked into atomic units and then reallocated and redistributed across other instances of that patient's information. And so we need to absolutely be certain that we have an atomic level provenance metadata so that we can unwind mistakes as we discover them and maintain some integrity around the match of the data to the individual. So that's all I can give in 5 minutes. Thanks.
Thank you. By the way, John, if you're leaving for the Jasons, the New Health Project would love to, I'm sorry? New Health Project would love to support more workshops and continue this discussion. We're a 501c3. Nancy Tomich is the executive director of it. I'm chief technical whatever. Harold Koenig is on our board. And so if there's an opportunity to plug an independent third party out of the Beltway unencumbered thinkers, we're here. So
Absolutely.
So Harold, do you want to